shin and tav. Aleph, Bet, and Gimel, Dalet, Hey, and Bob, and Zion, Chet, and Tet, and Yod, and Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samek, Ayin, Pei, and Sade, Kof, and Resh, Sin, and Shin, and Tav.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's Matthew, and I'm going to teach you some Hebrew from the end of today's story, when Laban and Jacob make a covenant together. A covenant is a promise or agreement people make with each other. One example is when people get married. They make promises to the other person, and that's a covenant. Another example could be when you buy or sell a house, and you make an agreement with the other person about how much money the house will be sold for, and that agreement is a covenant. The Hebrew word for covenant is brit. Brit. Laban wants this covenant to be a witness between him and Jacob. The Hebrew word for witness is ed. Ed. Jacob takes a stone to be a witness by standing it up as a pillar or column. Stone in Hebrew is even. Even. And pillar is matseva. Matseva. And our last two words from this story come right after, when they gather stones to make a heap. Stones is avanim. Avanim. And heap or pile is gal. Gal. Laban says, "This heap is a witness between you and me today," and that's why it was named Galed, which means witness heap, from Gal, which means heap, and Ed, which means witness. Now, let's look at the Hebrew when Laban says this heap is a witness. In the Hebrew, the word isn't there. This is something very common in Hebrew. They don't need words like is, are, am, and so on in their sentences. Hebrew does have these words, but they're not always necessary. And the same thing can happen in English. For example, sometimes you might hear, "You alright?" instead of, "Are you alright?" Or, "Everything okay?" instead of, "Is everything okay?" This usually happens in English only when you're talking with friends or family, but it can happen all the time in Hebrew. For another example in our story, a little later Laban says, Elohim is witness. The Hebrew is Elohim ed. Elohim, witness. There is no is in the Hebrew here, but in English translations it has to be added. Now let's end with a sentence you can use. For this sentence, we need to learn the word for I, which is ani. Ani. And then the words for boy and girl. Boy is yeled. Yeled. And girl is yalda. Yalda. So to say I am a boy in Hebrew, you can say ani yeled. I, boy. Because in Hebrew, you don't need the words for am or a. Okay. Now, if you're a boy, repeat this after me. Ani yeled. Ani yeled. And if you're a girl, repeat this. Ani yalda. Ani yalda. Great! This week, you can repeat your sentence over and over to remember it. I hope you all have a wonderful, blessed week. Shabbat Shalom.